Hello and welcome back to the MacGuffin tapes. I'm here joined by Dario. Dario, how are you doing?
I'm doing quite well, thank you.
Can you see through your glasses now?
No, I'm just about to clean my glasses. I have
Okay.
opened it, the wet towel, and now I will be cleaning my glasses.
We need this. We need this information for sure.
You will
Well,
also be
Michael
able.
has
But we're
asked,
just we're just so happy to see Dario on the podcast again. Grace us with his presence.
when was the
Yes.
last time I joined anyway? I think it was, didn't I join last time?
No, it was for
The
kneecap.
surfer probably, huh?
Oh,
Yeah,
the surfer. Yeah.
Could not
Yeah.
miss that for anything. The
Nicolas Cage.
goat.
Ella, how is it going?
Going fine. I'm very excited to discuss the movie today because we already had Dario's doppelganger on the podcast, and today we have your doppelganger on the podcast. Or should I say, we just have the main actor
No, please stop it.
introducing his film today.
Hello, I'm Austin Butler. I'm here to talk. That
Oh my
was
God,
a.
you can actually do that so well.
Yeah, we're here to talk about Caught Stealing, Darren Aronofsky's latest movie.
Yes.
And again, or like always, Ala, I think you recommended that we watch this movie, but I don't know how you came across it.
Um, well, kind of hard to say. I mean, I just generally keep up with what's going on, first of all, and second of all, it has a few Russian actors that I follow, and so that is, I guess, mainly how I got aware of it. And while we were watching the film and saw some other characters, I realized that this is also how I knew the film, but I just forgot about it.
Yeah, that's why you kept spamming my Instagram messages and my WhatsApp. Yeah, I think it was the Russian actors.
Yeah.
We should mention them. I
I
forget
think
their
I will
names.
mention I think I will mention everyone, but maybe first we should say what the film is about quickly.
Yeah, go ahead.
So because we want to keep it brief, I asked ChatGPT to give me a summary, and here's what it came up with. A washed-up ex-baseball player, Hank, stumbles upon a violent underworld in the 1990s New York after a favor gone wrong, forcing him into a desperate fight for survival. As the chaos spirals, his addictions and bad luck blur with darkly absurd turns, pulling him deeper into a world of crime he never meant to enter.
What a description.
I mean, it's quite accurate. So Hank is played by Austin Butler, first appearance on the podcast. And he is supported by actually kind of a star-packed cast, I would say. There's quite a few big names there. I mean, there's Zoe Kravitz. Regina King is, I think, playing um,
Detective.
the detective. Um, then there is, of course, Liev Schreiber, Vincent D'Onofrio, and the Russians that I will maybe mention a little later. The Russians that maybe one of them is kind of a little known, but the other one is kind of a new face. But first of all, should we also mention Darren Aronofsky? I think most people would know Darren Aronofsky as the director of Black Swan, which is the 2010 film with Natalie Portman about a ballet dancer that she got an Oscar for. Then there's also Requiem for a Dream, that is a bit of an older film, but also has a very good reputation, I guess you could say. And there is also The Whale from a few years ago that also had a little bit of a buzz as a comeback role for Brendan Fraser, who also received a leading actor Oscar for this role.
Hmm.
So you could say that Darren Aronofsky produces films that are very well received, first of all, and also generate Oscars for the actors that are in them. I think also for the wrestler, Marisa Tomei received an Oscar as a supporting actress,
Yeah.
as far as I can remember, but I might be wrong.
I haven't seen lots of his movies. I watched The Whale and I remember liking it a lot, especially the ending got me quite emotional. Yeah, Requiem for a Dream is sort of a cult classic for some people, but I haven't seen it. I think I've seen Black Swan, and the other movie I saw was Noah, which was sort of like a um, reimagining of the biblical tale about the Ark. I think it was with Russell Crowe was in that. Huh?
To be honest, I'm a
Um,
bit surprised that that was Darren Aronofsky. That sticks out from his filmography quite a bit, I would say.
yeah, I would say maybe his last couple of movies are sort of a bit different because what he's known for, I guess, is like these more dream-like movies, or how would you describe his style?
I mean, are they dreamlike? They are kind of a little bit darker in theme, very psychological, sometimes very, I mean, yeah, hard to say. I think they all deal with the deep psychological issues most of the time, sometimes with addiction, or maybe you could even say it always has something to do with some form of addiction. Obviously, Requiem for a Dream is a little more on the nose with actual drug addiction. Caught Stealing has some of alcoholism, so alcohol addiction theme in it as well. The Whale, obviously, food addiction, or kind of obviously like some deep psychological issues that manifest through um, food. What do you call I don't sorry, I'm blanking on the word, but basically yeah, just like food addiction for lack of a better word, I guess.
Hmm.
Black Swan has more I guess perfectionism issues and wrestlers maybe about control. The Fountain, I haven't seen it. I know what it is about, so also has something to do with, I guess, something very psychological and something that kind of runs deep. So yeah, I think in that way, Caught Stealing is a little bit of a departure from those films, I would say, in the sense that it has a bit of a comedic element to it, which is for me a little bit off in terms of Darren Aronofsky films.
Hmm. Well, it still has some like surreal scenes, and it also, yeah, like you said, deals a bit with addiction and trauma as well.
Mhm.
But that's not the main attraction of the
Yeah,
film.
no, for sure. You can for sure see it's a Darren Aronofsky film in the way that he deals with the subject matter, but it's just interesting to see the comedic element, which I have not seen before in his films. Not that I have seen a lot of his films, I have seen some, uh, but none of them really, all of them were quite serious. And maybe this is also interesting about Caught Stealing because it's it's presented to you almost as if it presented a little bit lighthearted in the beginning maybe, and then it kind of slowly spirals you out of it or it further into the darkness of it. And you almost don't expect some of the things that are happening because you're like, wait, is that for real? Did it really happen? Because you didn't expect it because the tone was not as serious yet.
Who we also, or who we forgot to mention as well, is Bad Bunny is in the movie as well, but he's credited as I mean, his actual name, Benito Martinez Ocasio.
Ah,
Yeah, yeah.
okay. And who is that?
Who is-
Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. I haven't listened to his music a lot either, or at all, I would say, but he is a Puerto Rican trap singer who is huge. Like,
Okay.
yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't know. Maybe Daria knows.
No clue.
Bad
That's
Bunny.
such a random fact, actually.
Yeah, no, he's actually huge, and I've also seen him this year in the Happy Gilmore movie, the second Happy Gilmore movie. He's also in there.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I think for some people that might be a draw to this film, like for
Okay.
more for a general audience.
Also, we forgot to mention Matt Smith, who is my personal favorite in the film. I mean, Matt Smith is always great. Whatever he does is always the best. But in this film, he has a very peculiar role.
Hmm.
And as always, he just nails it perfectly.
Yeah, yeah, he is great, and I like that. I mean, he keeps doing different characters. The
Mhm.
last thing I've seen him in was probably House of the Dragon, where he plays sort of like an
Oh
anti-hero.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's true
he's
actually.
great in that.
So yeah, Matt Smith is a British actor. He is obviously famous for um House of Dragon, where he is playing Daemon Targaryen, so one of the Targaryens. Then um I think most people, can if I allow myself to speak in those terms, but most people would know Matt Smith or will have found out about him from Doctor Who, because he played the Doctor after um, David Tennant, which is huge. And he played for quite a few seasons, I think, as well. Um, Then we have, I mean, he's playing in this film, he's playing the neighbor of Hank, of Austin Butler's character, who kind of is the starting point or kind of is um to blame for what happens to Hank for the start of the story. He's like um gets the ball rolling in the story. And then he just disappears until closer to the end.
Hmm.
But yeah, whatever he does in this film is just great.
Yeah, actually,
He's a bit of a punk here.
yeah, actually, what you read, the description of this movie got me thinking. I should have thought of this before recording, but yeah, that this movie sort of spirals and he gets sucked into a situation that he's not familiar with. Yeah, there are other movies like this, but I can't think of a specific example for now. Where someone is in over his head in a situation and has to
Hmm.
improvise. Um, what could be an example for this kind of movie? Actually, I can think of one. What's his name? Um, he played Elton John, XC also as well. The guy from Kingsman who also played Elton John. Wait, let me just check. But yeah.
Here are a few that I can give you. First of all, After Hours, the Scorsese movie, which we haven't seen, by the way, that is still waiting for us to
I've
be
seen it.
watched,
I've seen it.
is I think something similar to this vibe. Good Time by the Safdie brothers. I mean, they are kind of already criminals, so I wouldn't say this is necessarily fitting what you are describing. So somebody who is not within the criminal world, but kind of gets sucked into it. So I would say that I wouldn't necessarily count as one. But maybe Burn After Reading is a bit of a something that is similar. That is Daria's favorite, probably, huh? Also Big Lebowski too, if you
Yes,
think about
definitely
it.
Burn After Reading, all-time favorite, the GOAT.
Better than Big Lebowski.
I would say yes. I personally
Wow.
prefer it. I mean, Big Lebowski is great, but somehow, like, I don't know. Burn After Reading just does more for me.
Hmm.
I just love John Malkovich there. So great.
John Malkovich just makes everything better, yeah.
Occasionally,
But
yeah.
also, if you think about it, it has something to do with those films that, for example, Layer Cake, or Guy Ritchie films like Snatch, or well, yeah, Lock, Stock, or rock and roller, maybe in a way, that it has this kind of the criminal world and the players in it, and everybody's kind of playing off of each other, sometimes against each other, sometimes they have to team up against somebody else. And that's kind of the vibe, I guess, of the film. And what I actually also like about it. And actually we also discussed it a little bit after we watched the film, that it kind of has those several camps or several groups that you follow, and let's say two, or yeah, two separate gangs that kind of go against each other, and this poor guy just gets caught in the middle of it and has to find his way out of the situation. And in this way, it is similar to um, Guy Ritchie films, and the characters are also, I mean, they're interesting and they are kind of peculiar. And in this way, it also reminds me of some of the characters from Guy Ritchie films. So maybe we can go deeper into that, into the characters that are portrayed.
Yeah, just give me a second. The movie I was mentioning was Carry On with Taron
Yeah,
Egerton.
yeah.
And yeah, you were saying, yeah, he gets pulled into like a criminal world. Maybe this reminds me a bit of Breaking Bad as well, that it's a character that, yeah, uh, gets to do something very different. And over time, he proves to be very smart and develops his skills and sort of succeeds in this world.
Hmm.
Maybe that's another comparison I can think of.
Hmm.
But yeah, we can get into the characters, if you will, or scenes.
Yeah, so the two groups that Hank is kind of, how should you even put it? Has to go against, I guess you could say, um, are the Russians and the Hasidic Jews of New York, the typical gangs of New York, you know. So the Russians here are portrayed by two Russian actors, one of whom is, I guess, could be a little more well known. I don't think he is very well known, but that would be Yuri Kolokolnikov. He is both, I think, a film actor and a theater actor or a stage actor. Although I think primarily he is playing in films. He is he's also Canadian, so he, I think, spent quite some time in Hollywood, and he had a few roles in not only Russian films but also in American films, some of which would be, for example, Tenet, where he also played kind of a minor role, but still a role in in a Nolan film, which is, I'm sure, quite a big thing for an actor. He had a role in Game of Thrones as well, where he played one of those wildlings, or I'm not actually sure anymore who his character was exactly, because I kind of already forgot Game of Thrones. It's
Yeah,
been a while.
I
But
think
yeah,
he's one of
he
those
had kind of a
wildlings.
biggish role there. He was kind of more prominent. Um, Yeah, so he is playing one of the characters, and the other one is played by Nikita Kukushkin, who is a Russian both film and stage actor. He plays quite a bit in theater. I would say he is associated, for me personally, more so with theater than with film, although of course he had quite a few roles as well. Um, and he is now, obviously now he lives outside of Russia. He lives in Germany, so there is a lot of theater they're doing there in Berlin. And Darren Aronosfky actually saw him in theater as well when that was still in Moscow, I think, that Darren Aronosfky saw him act, and he was very impressed apparently, and I guess he kind of penciled him in his mind for some role like what we saw now. And if you watch the film, you can kind of see that Nikita Kukushkin has a bit of a strange energy to him, and he plays this character that almost has a bit of like an animalistic element to him. He's a bit of a crazy guy, but not in the normal sense of the word, I would say. He is kind of, yeah, a little unhinged, you can say. And yeah, so I think it's interesting that he was seen in theater in his element, where he also portrays very peculiar roles. And Darren Aronofsky thought he could use that in some form. Um, And I think that was perfect. That was great. And I just find it funny though that both of them are bald. And the other actor that the other Russian actor that had a buzz recently was Yura Borisov, right, in Anora, who is also bald. And I'm just like, it makes me think, why is every Russian actor we get to see bald? What is Russia doing with those people? Poor men.
Just towards on Yuri Kolokolnikov is that he was also in the Americans, great series, by the way.
Mm.
But yeah, I guess that's a good thing. Like looking at his filmography, I mean, yeah, on the one hand you get sort of typecast as the Russian, but you can see that
Mm-hmm.
he kept working consistently, and that opens doors for actors like this. So
Yeah.
I think that's great that
Well,
you
I
get
mean,
recognized.
I think the problem really is the language, because for Russians it's very difficult to get rid of the accent, and I feel like you are kind of bound to play bad Russians, gangsters, and all kinds of stuff like that, unfortunately. And we can also see that with Alexei Serebrякov, who is another more or less well-known actor who plays oligarchs and gangsters. And for example, he played the dad in Anora. And I guess it's difficult to get out of this, but Yuri Kolokolnikov, I would say he can pull off a good American accent too. He can, I mean, obviously he speaks English, and I'm sure he could actually play another role. Recently, we also saw Yuri Kolokolnikov in The White Lotus in the latest season. He was one of the
Mhm.
Russians there too.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, talking about accents, that you were saying that sometimes for actors it's hard to get rid of them, but sometimes they don't have an accent at all. And I think one of the guys in White Lotus who plays the masseur, actually, he portrays the character with a Russian accent, but in real life he's, I don't know if he, I don't remember if he's British or American, but he doesn't have an accent at all. So yeah,
Mm,
sometimes we as the audience get fooled because these
hmm
actors are just great. I wanted to say something that you were talking about the gangs here in this movie, and yeah, these are maybe not the typical like gangs that we think of when we are watching movies that take place in New York. Like usually it would be the Italians or who else? Yeah, the Italian mob, I guess. I guess it also depends on the period that is being portrayed.
Yeah,
But yeah,
probably.
here we have here we have Jews, we have Russians, and we also have yeah, well, Bad Bunny plays like a Puerto Rican or Latino gangster,
Mhm.
and yeah, that's interesting that we get to see a different side of New York.
But isn't it more like Boston would be Italian versus Irish? Because I feel like New York has a very big Russian community, and so it only makes sense that there would be kind of a gang issue there with that.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, it could be. I guess Italian is more New Jersey, and I'm thinking of a series like Sopranos. Huh? But
Hmm.
maybe yeah, it's also more local because I think this movie takes place mostly in Long Island, so
Hmm.
or the southeast part of New York. So I guess that's where those sort of gangs are more
Yeah.
prominent.
Okay.
And yeah, that's really interesting. So I was thinking actually, why did Darren Aronofsky wanted to do this movie? I mean, the script is based on a book by Charlie Houston, who also wrote the script for this one.
Hmm.
And I think it's probably because it takes place in New York, and Darren Aronofsky is actually from New York, born there. And yeah, you can see that, and that all the places they go to are, yeah, it's very specific, like the kind of details they show, and they film on location. So I think maybe that's why he wanted to do this movie, or one of the reasons.
Yeah, and the writer, I think he is also writing comics, but I don't think this one is comic series. And it is a series, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, there's three books about
Yep.
this character.
Yep.
So who knows?
Who
Maybe
knows?
something else is coming.
One of the first scenes, like you mentioned it at the beginning, is when Hank returns to his apartment and the Russians are knocking on Russ's door. Russ
Hmm.
is played by Matt Smith, who is Hank's neighbor. And yeah, I don't know how the arguments start, but basically then he gets beat up by the Russians in a brutal fashion.
Hmm. Which is the first wake-up call to remember that it is a Darren Aronofsky film after all.
Hmm.
Because you kind of don't expect it by that point, but then it happens. And it's only the first one of a series of assaults and violent scenes.
Yeah, and it's also a bit funny because I think the other neighbor opens the door. Who is it? The Not the accountant, the guy who builds websites, basically.
Dwayne, who builds websites.
Yeah, so that makes the scene a bit funny as well, and then the fact that at some point it gets shown that blood is on the floor, and then Hank says, "Oh shit," and passes out. So it's kind of funny, but yeah, he takes a serious beating and ends up in the hospital, and they have to, he gets surgery on his, I always mix these terms
Kidney.
up. Kidney, thank you.
He gets his kidney removed.
Yeah.
So this is how the first gang manifests.
Mhm.
And then there is the other gang, played by Liev Schreiber and Vincent D'Onofrio, who are Hasidic Jews, which is very comical in a way to see Hasidic Jews being gangsters in that film. But yeah, they are apparently also no joke.
Yeah, and I
Maybe
think,
happens more than you think.
Maybe
Has-
you would know.
Hasidic
Maybe it's
Jews
just a
being
cover. It's a
gangsters.
good cover.
Exactly. Nobody would think that you want to do any harm, right? As a Hasidic Jew. So it's great.
yeah, that is true. Yeah. Mhm. I think the first time we see them is actually through, is it through security footage or something? So we then don't hear them
Hmm.
speak, or, and
And
yeah.
yeah, it's actually very funny because you see them through a security footage, it just gives me such a flashback to Snatch because that's literally how Snatch starts. And to be honest, when I was watching it, when I saw it in the trailer, I thought that just has to be a quote or like a nod to it, some kind of a reference. I don't think it is, but it's nice to think that it might be.
Yeah, could very well be. I also saw an interview with Darren Aronofsky where he mentioned that lots of scenes where a pie appears in reference to his first movie. So yeah, apparently you
Okay.
can find those Easter eggs throughout the movie.
Mm.
Yeah, and then maybe after he gets beat up and lands in the hospital, I think that's when we get to meet her before, but that's when Zoe Kravitz's character comes in and
Mhm.
she takes care of him and mentions what happens to him and that she has to basically quit alcohol, which we can see in the first scenes that Hank works at the bar and sort of drinks
I
quite
mean,
a lot.
she appears quite early in the film, actually. She maybe gets a little more action after he kind of gets his surgery. But overall, we meet her pretty early in the movie, and um, yeah, I mean, what do you want to say something else about her character?
Yeah, we get to see her. I think she stops by after or just after Hank is about to close the bar, and then they sort of get to his apartment. But yeah, it's just from this first scene, you can already tell that they have a relationship or have been sort of seeing each other for a while. It's quite a flirty relationship, and once they get to his apartment, then we have a hot sex scene.
Yeah, I mean,
But
we don't get to see much.
no, no,
It's
no.
only the beginning of it, but
Yeah, the
yeah.
beginning, yes. Yeah, I think the interesting part is more the dialogues they have and which are very flirty and um yeah, we get to know that she's a nurse and
She's a
yeah,
paramedic.
paramedic. She also like works like night shifts, it looks like. And yeah, she gets featured more in the beginning and you really buy into this relationship.
Mm.
And even then, after he gets hurt and lands in the hospital, that's where things start to get more serious. Or I think it's in a later scene when she asks him, "Hey, do you want to get more serious?"
Yeah, and I mean, she is a bit of a driving factor for him giving up drinking because also throughout the story, we get glimpses into his past, specifically into one scene, one situation in his past that kind of led him to be where he is, which is being an alcoholic and not being a baseball player, which clearly throughout the film as well, there is a baseball. What would you call it, Daria? You probably know best how to call this, but like a baseball championship?
Yeah, I don't know how they call it. The Major League, right? I think might be
Blah,
called.
blah, blah, blah. Yeah, could be. But anyway, just some games going on, and he's a San Francisco Giants fan. And yeah, I mean, he clearly has some issues and situations in his past that led him to be where he is, including being having alcohol issues. And throughout the film, we kind of, when he is trying to give up alcohol, I mean, a few times he fails, he slips, so he's not really trying really hard. And the reason actually also why he has to give up alcohol is because he has one kidney less now. And we get throughout the film a few glimpses into him contemplating or maybe kind of being affected by his addiction is when he sees bottles a few times in the film, I think, and he kind of the camera just zooms in on it as if that is something that catches his focus and gets him, I guess, thinking about it, triggers a craving for alcohol. Hard for me to say if that's really how it is. For me personally, I thought it is a little bit lazy the way that it is shown. I really don't know if that's how it works. I'm sure that there are some things that can trigger you if you have any issue slash addiction, and maybe just seeing a bottle would be one of those things. But I don't think that it would just, I think there would be a more interesting and elegant way to show it than how it is made in the film. Plus, I just don't get the feeling that he really is addicted in the sense that he really can't control the urge. Because somehow he doesn't come across as that type of character, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting. What you said, that it's a bit lazy how this gets portrayed. And that's maybe partially because it's not the focus of the movie. But I
Yeah,
think, yeah,
that's
what
true.
you said, that they zoom in on like bottles sometimes. And yeah, I would also say that his addiction is maybe not tied to his trauma that much, or that's not why he drinks, or at least I don't get that from how it's shown. For me, it's more like he's just around alcohol a lot, like because he works in a bar, and I
Hmm.
understand that because of his job, he just naturally has access to alcohol, and sort
Hmm.
of it's part of his life. But yeah, it's I agree with what you said, that it's not, he has some sort of control over it. And
Hmm.
yeah, after he gets his kidney removed, I think there are basically two, at least that I can remember, two scenes where he sort of slips back into it. The first one is
Hmm.
when he goes to his bar, and then they offer him a drink, a toast to the Giants, to his team, and he can't resist, and then it sort of spirals into like a drunken night. And I think there's one more short scene where he sees a bottle and is I think that's when he is actually escaping from the Jews on this crazy pursuit on foot. And then at some point he stops in a kitchen and he sees some beer bottles, but he actually doesn't drink them. His trauma related to alcohol was that yeah, the two important aspects. The first one is that he was a baseball player, and he was about to get into college with what's this called, with a
Scholarship.
scholarship. Yeah. But then he was in his car with his friend, and then he had like a car crash accident where he ends up killing his friend. And I think that gets, yeah, that gets shown multiple times throughout the movie, this car crash
Hmm.
from different angles and perspective. It sort of gradually gets revealed. Usually it's after Hank wakes up from, I don't know, yeah, from his operation or his drinking, and it's always a shock. But I like some details. I think before we get to see the actual accident, there are like hints where you can see a scar on his, I think it's his right knee, indicating that he had some sort of
Hmm.
accident. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
and I think that is also what he mentions in a conversation with his mother later, that for him it was in that moment almost more important that he screwed up his knee and cannot play baseball anymore than the fact that his friend is dead, as a result of this car accident, right? And that is, I guess, where the trauma stems from.
yeah. I mean, it's I don't know how you absorb that situation. I mean, I guess at that point it totally makes sense that he was focused more on himself because he couldn't process just what happened. But um, later in the
Yeah, I guess
movie,
so.
he has a shift in his perspective, and realizes, oh, okay, actually, I also was really upset and hurt that I killed my friend and feeling guilty. His love for baseball is also very a through line, an important through line in this movie. He has multiple calls with his mom, and they always keep each other updated on the latest score or the latest game, Giants game. And yeah, we were talking with Dario, like during the movie break, that yeah, about the baseball teams. We realized that we're men, but we don't know anything about baseball or don't care.
Well, we're also not American, so that is
Yeah.
understandable.
Yeah, and
That's also
baseball
what
is just so boring anyway. Who
But
wants to watch that?
funnily enough, the only baseball game I have seen was a San Francisco Giants baseball game.
Have you?
Yeah.
Oh, no, you didn't, right? We went
No,
to.
not like live.
Uh-huh.
It
Oh
Okay.
was just
yeah,
in a
live we
movie.
have also seen one. I forgot
Yeah.
about it.
See, yeah, so that's how uneventful it was. You
Oh
have
yeah.
forgotten
I
that you've
think
seen one
the
live.
eventful part about baseball is more people watching.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I
But I
think when if you are not American and you didn't grow up with it, you kind of have no chance of liking
yeah,
it or even understanding it.
but I like how this gets made fun of in the movie as well. Like I think it's Russ who has a
Yeah.
conversation with Hank, and they say, "Oh yeah, my baseball. I have to call my mom to keep her and keep in touch about the baseball results." And they say, "Oh, I don't care." And it's like we love football, and you don't care about football here
Yeah, he
in
says something
America.
like I could talk to you about Premier League and you wouldn't give a shit either.
Yeah,
Something
yeah.
like that.
It's, so that's cool. Where should we go from here?
But actually, another question. Is the money in this film our second MacGuffin?
The money in the film, is it a MacGuffin? I think
Well, I mean, technically it kind of is, no?
it's more the key than the money, maybe.
Maybe it's both.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, yeah, sure. It could be our second MacGuffin. Yeah, that's true.
Okay. Second and third. And then another question I have. What do you think about Austin Butler in this film? Is he doing a good job? Is he a good actor to be chosen for this role? Do we believe him?
I really like him in this movie. I think he does a great job. He did a lot of physical preparation for this movie. And I've also see him do something similar in a previous movie, which is I think called Bike Riders. Yeah, the
Mm-hmm.
Bike Riders, where he's also sort of well, he is. It's a bit different in the sense that he is part of a bike gang,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it takes place during the 70s, a bit earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but he also plays this sort of character who is a bit well, it's different in the sense that um, psychologically the character is totally different, but it's like sort of a rough character, like a street character. It's not a how to put it. Here he's a protagonist, but he is yeah he has his flaws, and in Bike Riders the same thing applies.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I really like him in this movie, and I mentioned the pursuit on foot with the Jews. So I think there he does a lot of his stunts himself, as well as some of the fight scenes. So from that perspective, I think he's great.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on him?
Um, I mean, to be honest, while I was watching it, I thought it was all right. It's just after I started thinking, could there be somebody else who would fit that role, maybe in a different way as well? But I mean, I don't have an answer for it. It was just something that I kind of wanted to discuss a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I think he did a good job. It's just maybe he's a bit too pretty for that role almost, in the sense that I don't know, is it at the same time, of course, it is believable that he is an ex-baseball player, so he is fit, he is in shape, he is of a certain height, I guess, which might also be important in baseball or in any athletic pursuit. But now he kind of the way the lifestyle that he leads now is yeah made him into a more rough character, I guess. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. It's I guess for me still something to think about.
Yeah.
Maybe on the second rewatch if it ever happens, which I think it might actually.
Mm-hmm. I think it doesn't hurt that he's pretty. I mean, it fits the character, like you said, and also he does play into both those side, that sort of roughness or street side, working in a bar, and then but he also has this very sensitive moments, which you can see in a movie like Elvis, like his relationship with his mom, or his relationship with Zoe Kravitz, where you see he's just a normal dude, and at the beginning of the movie, he's also very scared. You can see his sensitive side also in his conversations with the detective played by Regina King.
Yeah. No,
So
I think,
yeah,
yeah, that is true.
probably
Um,
another actor could have played this role, but I think he does a great job.
mhm. No, I think it was good. It's just more of a thought that I had if there was anything to say about this, if there was something, a room for, for other things that could warrant another actor playing it. But yeah,
Mhm.
just a thought. I think another thing that or two other things that we haven't talked about yet, but we paid attention to and discussed a little bit as well, is how New York is shown and generally the landscape of the city, because the film has a lot of very wide shots, so you get the city in the shot as well, and it's very beautiful, even though while it's happening in the 90s, it is more of the rough side of New York, and it's also, New York of the 90s, I'm sure, was also not the beautiful place that some people know from Instagram nowadays, but still the way that it's shown, very beautiful, especially when you get the scene, a very wide shot of the scene where he goes up the fire escape stairs. That is so beautiful.
Yeah, that's really nice. Yeah. It reminded me a bit of what's it called? I think it's West Side Story a bit, where you
Mhm,
also see like fire escapes. And then it reminded me a bit of Rent, because actually I think
mhm.
they also filmed in Tom King's park. Yeah. And
Ah,
that's
okay.
I remember that exactly because there's a scene in Rent where they also pass that part.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I don't. Let me just check here. I don't know if this was shot on film, but it looks like it. No, it was filmed on digital. I thought that it had some grain to it, but that might have been added.
Mhm. Mhm. I haven't paid
Yeah,
attention to that.
yeah. Also, what I liked in the portrayal of the city is when they go to Ross's storage room where the money is stored.
Mhm.
That they you get a shot like on the right uh, on the right corner of the screen where you see the twin towers, which I guess were
Oh,
digitally added. So that's I
okay.
think
I
a
don't
nice.
remember that at all.
I think it's the twin towers. At least it was two towers. I think it was the twin towers. Must have been.
Must be them.
Yeah. The I also love
It's
this
it's
detail.
actually it's actually very interesting to see how this always gets. I mean, personally, I would not pay attention to it almost as much because for me, because of my age, I guess, and also not being American, it wouldn't be at the back of my mind all the time. But obviously, for Americans and generally people who have this event very prominent in their mind, um, that is definitely always something that people think about and add, and always important to get some kind of a mention of it or make sure that it is in the film to show the timing, that it is in the 90s and this is before all that.
Yeah, I guess for New Yorkers, this must be interesting because
For
they
sure,
show a
yeah.
lot of places. I think you could also probably do like a trace on a map all the places they go to.
Mm.
because the locations are that specific. And like I mentioned, I think it's from what I read, it's mostly uh, Southeast Manhattan and Long Island. Uh, Another location they show is or Shaw Stadium, and the where the car chase takes place with Ross and the Russians. That's also another park
Mm-hmm.
that's also beautifully shown in some wide shots. I think the other location that you mentioned was at the beach. You mentioned like a park. Do you remember you guys mentioned it when
Coney
we were
Island,
watching?
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Coney Island and Brighton Beach, of course. The Brighton Beach is the Russian quarter, basically, of New York, and that's where Hank takes the Jews to hunt down hunt down some people to avoid spoilers. Although we don't care about spoilers, we give you all the spoilers, but
No, we forgot to mention, but yeah, this like always is a spoiler filled
spoiler
discussion,
heavy. Yeah.
spoiler heavy, and all the movies we talk about here, we also recommend that you watch them if you haven't.
Do you want to say something else about the locations?
No, I was going to ask you, like, what were your favorite scenes, and maybe which comedic scenes were your favorites, because we haven't talked about that a lot yet.
Okay, Dario, you can start.
Um, my favorite or what? Or
Yeah.
just I don't know. I mean,
Favorite scenes or comedic scenes?
I know I'm thinking. I just generally love the fact, or for me, the fact that the Hasidic Jews are gangsters is probably the highlight here. Apart from that, what else was up? Yeah, I can't really think of anything specific, to be honest. It was it. Now that I'm trying to recall, was there a lot of comedy?
I mean,
I mean,
there was definitely not a comedy in itself, right? But there are a few comedic elements to it. It's not very funny. It's not going to
yeah.
be a comedy, but
I mean, certainly also I forgot his name already, see, but the punk, Harry, or how was it called?
Russ.
Russ, almost. I mean, this character also, in a sense, is funny, right? Just with
Yeah.
the kind of his punkishness and his really fucked up car he's driving, and just the way how he speaks, I guess.
What's that
Um,
accent from? He has like a British accent, but a very specific one. Do you know which one it is?
Does he have a specific accent? I don't
I
know.
think so, yeah. I,
Maybe
I don't know. I wouldn't be able to tell
probably
you.
he's
For
from
me, it's just
London,
a
right?
standard London accent, yeah.
He
I don't
went
think he
to.
even had a Cockney accent, just a normal London
okay, okay,
accent.
sure. Yeah, I agree. I love the Ross's character, and what I found
Yeah.
hilarious is that when they get into his car, that he takes off the top of his head so that his mohawk
Yeah,
can stand up. I thought that was
can
hilarious.
breathe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That is funny. I would say, as you know, I always love scenes with languages, and here we have a scene in Yiddish, which is when do you ever get to hear Yiddish? Not very often. I wouldn't say that uh wait, what's this actor's name again? Let me
Vincent
Leaf
see.
D'Onofrio or
Schreiber.
Liev Schreiber?
Vincent D'Onofrio. Leif Schreiber, he is Jewish himself. I would say his Yiddish was quite all right. I mean, I don't know Yiddish well, but um, I can definitely tell if it's not being spoken well. And I would say Vincent D'Onofrio was not doing a great job at it, but it's okay. It still was fun to watch. And generally this like Jewishness of the scene was pretty cool. How they're just talking about Shabbos and um getting to be in this very Jewish household right before Shabbat starts. Yeah, that was pretty interesting to see. And you kind of get an endearing feeling almost towards these people. and it also has a point and a purpose. And I think that was pretty cool how that's done.
Yeah, I
How it's
think this.
almost warming you up towards those people to just then.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So I
Yeah.
wanted to mention a funny scene with Vincent D'Onofrio is that when they're at home and what's the grandma? Is it no, not Booba? What's her name? Bube?
Um,
Well, anyway, the grandma makes them soup, and then Vincent D'Onofrio is just slurping the soup really loudly and for a long
yeah.
time. That's really funny. But yeah, that's a great point that you mentioned that you get warmed up to these characters and there's like degrees to them. Like you can see that they're gangsters, but they have like a philosophy or a way that they approach life, which is yeah, some things they say you can empathize with. But yeah, after that, that's when they uh there's like a gut punch or a switch when yeah you get to find out what they actually did with the lighter, like we mentioned at the beginning of the movie. That's a similar effect that you get warmed up to the relationship
Hmm.
between Hank and Zoe's character, just that then that's completely switched around. So there are a couple of these like plot twists. I think that happened
Hmm.
actually maybe 3 times. It's similar to
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
relationship between the detective
Hmm.
and Hank, and that keeps the movie entertaining and keeps like a nice pace. So that it's
Hmm.
really entertaining and fun to watch.
And I think that also kind of puts us in the same mindset as Hank, that we are not we're going through this journey with him, and we are almost kind of associating or seeing the world through his eyes in the same way that, so he goes through this being a little naive in some parts and maybe believing certain things that then just turn around and turn out to be completely something else. I think that's done pretty well. I mean, I guess some of it might be predictable. And I mean, you also mentioned that some of the things you kind of already knew beforehand. When I watch films, for me, it doesn't matter if it's predictable or what it is. I always watch and I take it at face value. I don't care if it's predictable. I never think about those things at all because I don't think that far ahead. I feel like when I'm watching movies, it's just kind of like, yeah, whatever I'm shown, whatever I'm given, I'll just take it and it's fine. And if then it kind of is something else, then oh, I'm surprised. I'm not the person who expect something, but I guess some of it could be predictable if you are really that type of person.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, sometimes that happens to me that I'm more cerebral with movies, but that's what I enjoy, like trying to figure out what the next steps
Hmm.
are. And sometimes I'm so immersed that I don't see it coming. But I think in this movie, there are some hints that something might switch. And but they are really subtle, and I think you can enjoy those more on the second viewing. Yeah, what I mentioned to you guys is I think just before the Regina, the detective, tells Hank that she's actually working with the Russians, a couple of seconds before she tells him that, there was something in the dialogue or something that clicked in me as, oh, okay, I think she might be a corrupt detective. And then, yeah,
Yeah.
well, it turned out that that
Well, I
happened.
think it's more or less you can get it from her talking about when this is all over, I'm gonna go to there and there to some place to the place, I don't know, somewhere. And it's just kind of like, yeah, but what do you mean? Why? Aren't you still going to be working as a
Hmm.
detective after this case? So that's kind of, I guess, maybe this situation that clicks.
Yeah, another example is that line that Zoe and Hank have that he always asks, "Can I call you?" And she says, "You have my number." And I think
Hmm.
she says it twice. And the last time they meet at her apartment, she doesn't say it. So that's sort of a hint that
Hmm.
okay, like she might die. That's sort of these movie clues, classic movie clues where
Hmm. Hmm.
something gets hinted at. And yeah, we mentioned it that or at least for me, the plot is very classical in a sense, and I think that comes from the book.
Hmm.
But for me, that also makes it really enjoyable. Yeah. We also mentioned that there is no phones or no technology because it's the 90s and they have to use like a payphone, for example. So for me, that was refreshing, like getting into a different world and being immersed in that.
Mm-hmm. Another point that I wanted to mention, where I said I have two things that I wanted to say, is the music, which in this film, Idols, the British band, wrote some of the soundtrack. I mean, there are a few songs of theirs that appear, and they even get mentioned by Russ. So when they are in Russ's car and he has a cassette in the player, Hank takes it out and Russ says, "What are you doing? It's the Idols." I thought that was kind of fun. Um, the other funny moment is that Idols, I think, was formed not so long ago. It's probably like I mean, not a new band, but let me see. In 2009. So obviously that did not exist in the 90s, but I mean it doesn't matter. It's still still kind of fun, a fun Easter egg, and they are a post-punk band, so it kind of fits the character of Russ, and I think also the vibe of the film and the grittiness of the whole story and New York of the 90s. So that's, yeah, kind of cool.
Some other funny scenes that I can think of are, regarding Russ's character, that when he returns from his trip, well, first of all, that his dad actually died and it wasn't an excuse, and then Hank apologizes. Oh, I'm really sorry for your loss. And then the other thing was that,
Then
when they
Russ shows the tattoo that he made of his dad.
that too, yeah. But
or
he
in
gets
memory
hit.
of his dad.
Hanks hits him with a baseball bat in the face, and then I think they do a great job with the makeup that you can see what's it called on his head,
Bruise.
the bruise on his head, and then you can actually see that it's his eye as well that keeps turning redder and redder. So I think that's a great job, like of the makeup team, and like from a story perspective, that he's really out of it, and then he starts like losing it and can't drive anymore. The other funny moment was when sort of at the end, Hank gets in a fight with the animal Russian.
Yeah.
and
It's actually also funny if you think about it, that the names of the actors, the Russian actors, Yuri Kolokolnikov and Nikita Kukushkin, has some like onomatopoeic element to them, because it's like kolokol, right? And then kukushkin, which is like from a cuckoo, which also is an animal, a bird. I don't know, something interesting about it. And unusual, both are unusual names somehow.
Yeah, but when he gets into a fight more towards the end of the movie with him, he puts up his hands, and we as an audience expect that Hank is going to get beaten again, but then it just takes two punches from Hank just to knock him out.
Yeah.
So that's another like funny moment. It's like these little bits that are unexpected and hilarious
That's
at the
true.
same time.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Final words.
Final words?
I mean,
Sure.
for me, I must say I was going into this film expecting to like it, but I was still surprised at how much I actually liked it. I liked it a lot. It was a really good movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think Dario was also surprised as well, because he didn't know what he was going for at all.
Yeah, I agree. That's I was also positively surprised by the movie, I would say, and quite enjoyed it.
Yeah, same here. I think it's very classical in a sense, very straightforward, very accessible to larger audiences as well. It's just entertaining and fun and funny. I mean, it's like we said, maybe a bit different than what we're used to from Aronofsky, and yeah, it's sort of a diversion, but still, I enjoyed it a lot and definitely rewatchable. Even maybe there's no like deeper message in this movie, but really enjoyable and fun. And I think that's in the end what movies, why we like movies.
So is that all for caught stealing?
I think that's all for Caught Stealing. Let's see if they're going to make more movies. I mean, there are two more books, so who knows?
I wouldn't expect that from Aronofsky, but then again, I also didn't expect Noah from Darren Aronofsky, so who knows?
Hmm. I would welcome it. Okay, thanks for listening and catch you next time.
Bye.
Ciao.